of young people. And I want to thank the judge for speaking to you about our programs and those things that we as a family court hold dear to ourselves. The judge ended part of her story or her statement to you with a talk about compassion and respect for each other. We are a community of people, all of us. And as young people, the majority of whom are here today, you are an important part of our futures. Today, this month, we recognize the impact of crime on victims. And for those of us who have wronged others, as we all have in our lives, me included, who have wronged others, this is our month to recognize those of us who have also been victims of trauma and crime. So as I look out here, one of the things I want, and I think that we have to all remember, is that we are connected as both, in one sense, perpetrators of crime as well as victims of crime, because we have all, in one time or another, hurt each other. This is a special event. Every year we get gathered to recognize crime victims, and I know that this particular play that we're going to hear tonight is going to be really meaningful for us. So I welcome you to this, and I thank you for being here.
I'm Chris. I'll tell you a little story. June 12, 2010, almost 3 years ago. I'm at the office. It's a Friday afternoon. Just sitting there working. My phone rings. It's my wife, Becca. Pick it up, and I can hear it through her voice, and she's crying. She utters just 4 words. Our house was robbed.
I was at work, and my phone rang. It was a phone number I didn't know. And I answered it, and it was our alarm company saying that our side door alarm at our house had gone off. This had never happened before, and I kind of just went into shock, and I got in my car, started driving home thinking, surely it's a mistake. Surely it couldn't have happened to our home. I was just there this morning. And I got home and walked up my driveway, and our side door was just in pieces. There was glass and broken wood all over the driveway. It was just hanging open, and my first thought, my first fear was we had a dog inside. Had he run off? Where was he? Had he been hurt or something worse? I didn't know what to do.
I got there about 20 minutes later. My heart's beating fast. I go between being angry and being afraid, just back and forth. That lasted for a long time. So once the police said we can go in our house, we walked in and we found our dog shaking under the table. And that's our kid, so it was good to see him. We look into the computer room. It's gone. I worked 2 jobs, saved up for that computer for 6 months. It's gone. We just come back from our wedding. All those wedding pictures, gone. Gone to the living room, TV, given to us as a wedding gift. Busted up. They tried to take it and broke it in the process.
It took us months to figure out everything that was missing. Everything was just such a mess and so torn apart. And as we tried to put our house back together and replace our things that were lost, we just couldn't shake this sense of not being able to put things back together. It's just a house and it's just stuff, but it's our home where we sleep and where we eat and where we're supposed to be safe and comfortable. And we couldn't get over this feeling that someone had been in there and had broken that. And so we started doing everything we could to make it more secure. We added locks. We bolted the TV and the computer to the wall. When we leave the house now, still 3 years later, we leave lights on timers. We turn the radio on so that people can hear voices if they're outside of our doors or windows. We hide everything. We do a lap through the house. Every time we leave the house, every morning when we go to work, we do a lap and hide anything that we think somebody could look in the window and think they want to break in and take. And still, every time we leave the house, even as we stand here right now, we hold our phone close thinking the alarm company might call saying, it's happened again.
So, just a TV, just a computer, right? But really, what was stolen from us was our sense of safety. And we get a little bit more of it back every day, that feeling, but we'll never be the same.
a problem. What I have is a people problem. You see, people feel like they can do whatever they want to you and just walk away like it's nothing. They act like you somebody's garbage can that they can just walk past and drop their trash in whenever they feel like it. I might be a lot of things, but one thing I'm not is nobody's garbage can. Now they want me to pay all this money for what somebody else did to me, trying to sue me and had me arrested, and I got a problem. So let me tell y'all what happened next. All I was doing was walking into this store, talking on my phone and minding my own business, when this old tramp just gonna run right into me and keep right on going, like she didn't see me standing there. So I turned around and called her a couple good names, you know. I ain't gonna repeat them because I see y'all got kids in here. But anyway, she turns around and says, "Excuse me?" Like she either didn't know who I was talking to or what the words meant. So I walked up on her and said it again. I ain't care nothing about them kids she had with her or that ugly woman standing next to her that looked like her twin. She gonna ask me, "What's your problem?" Oh, I told her, "Oh, you know what the problem is. If you don't apologize, it's gonna be an even bigger problem." She must have looked at me like I was crazy and said, "Apologize for what?" I mean, you just should have been there and seen how she gonna look at me. Like she better than me. Or like I was nothing. I ain't gonna lie. That made me mad. But that wasn't even the worst part of it. Then she gonna have the nerve to tell her evil twin that she ain't had time to deal with somebody like me. And let's just go. What she mean by that? What she mean somebody like me? See, I was trying to be nice. But see, people don't know how to act. So I told her, "Oh, you gonna get it together." I mean, she gonna look at me and just keep right. I mean, she just gonna turn her back on me like I'm not standing there, like I was nothing. I mean, just downright disrespectful. I might be a lot of things, but nothing ain't one of them. So I politely grabbed her by the back of her coat and pulled her back to face me and to give me my respect. Next thing I know, she tried to grab my arm. And the rest is just a blur. All I know is I ended up getting arrested for defending myself. They say that lady, they say she ended up in a hospital. But I don't even think nothing was really wrong with her. Now they trying to sue me, and I gotta take these anger management classes and pay more money for that, on top of going back and forth to court for defending myself. So the point I'm trying to make to y'all is, people do stuff to you. And if you have the nerve to get mad about it, then you have an anger problem. They put their hands on you, and if you defend yourself, you're the one who end up going to jail, paying a bunch of money and wasting a bunch of time. That's not an anger problem. That's a people messing with you problem.
And the band played on. And the band plays on. When you get done with everything, the band plays on. I understand my daughter did something bad to somebody. But what's done is done. Okay, she has to come to these groups to understand what she did was wrong. She knows what she did was wrong, but you and I both know that, now don't we? We are really here because some people got together and said that when somebody does something bad to somebody, we're either going to lock them up so we can feel safe, or we're going to make them come to places like this so maybe they don't know how to act, and maybe we could teach them how to act before we lock them up. That's fine. I know you're just doing your job and playing your role. But we all know it's just a role. I gotta play mine, and you gotta play yours. What's your role? Mine is on my mother. Never planned to be one. Maybe when I was a little girl and before I knew that the world wasn't a fairy tale and that pain is far more present than happiness. So we learn to play these roles. Some we're good at and some we're not. But we learn to play them anyway. It's funny. I've learned that there's roles we can choose if we play or not. For example, the night I'm coming out of my house, mad at my daughter because she making me late for my time to talk about nothing. Now when I have nothing to do, she's in her room doing whatever kids do. I'm on my way to my car, but I forgot my keys because of her. I live on this busy street, right at a stoplight. I noticed this car stopped and these kids walking up to it, to the driver's side door. I turn around because it's not my business, so I go back to head to get my keys. I hear the door open and this girl scream. I could feel that something bad is going on over there, so I'm moving faster to get back to my house. As I get to the door, I hear these shots ring out as I open the door. I close the door and I turn out the lights. I just stayed there because obviously this is not my night to go out. What happened out there wasn't my business. A little while later, the police and the ambulance showed up. The detectives had the nerve to knock on my door. I told my daughter not to answer the door, but you know these kids got minds of their own. They had all these questions, none that I had any real answers to, not my role, and I didn't really know anything anyway. I know they were just doing their job and playing their role. Me and my daughter, we was just playing ours. Though I did see later on the news that it was a girl around 18 that got killed that night. Well, at least she don't have to play any roles anymore. You know how life is. The band plays on.
Justice, what does that really mean? I'm not embarrassed to say I don't know. I was walking to court this morning and saw a patch on a policeman's uniform that said law enforcement. Turned around and saw a sign that said Justice Building. And in my head, those two things run together. And I wonder, is law and justice the same thing?
Is it justice when my brother was shot down? When I was in the room sleeping, and my dream turned into a nightmare? Is it just that I'll never dream this sight again? Is it just that my mother will never find peace because she never opened the door and found my brother?
It was against the law for someone to carry a gun to the club that night. It was unjust for them to fire into the crowd to see my brother to others. It's unjust to see my brother laying in the hospital, unable to really move, while my mom's running back and forth to the hospital, trying to will him back to health. Justice. Will justice one day turn my mother's tears into tears of joy as she see my brother take his first step?
Justice. Was it justice when I broke into the house that wasn't my own? Was it justice when I broke the law and said I did it because I didn't have? Was it justice when I broke into a house that wasn't my own? When a picture of the family was on the mantle smiling at me when I was doing something that brought them pain? Did they feel justice when I stood before the judge? Did they feel that justice was served when I paid restitution for the possessions that I have took? Do they feel safe walking to their house every day knowing that I violated it?
They say justice is blind, but how come it sees so much color? They say everything weighs out, but don't we first gotta put both feet on the scale? Can I want justice for myself and my family, but be unwilling to give to others? Can I commit a crime and call it justice? Can I harm you because I've been harmed and call it justice?
Justice.
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 There will always be laws, but never justice until
I don't see you.
Or me.
Until we see just us.
Oh, I can't be sad.
this morning. It was exactly 3:17. I didn't move. I just laid there so still, listening to nothing but my thoughts. It started with the last time I was here, and it just went backwards. I was sitting here, listening to my daughter talk about how I'm not there for her, even when I'm there. That made me angry, because I'm the only one that's been there for her. Those words, it just wouldn't go away. Not being there, even when I am. It went from, what would make her feel like that, to how could I have done that? You know, we would break a lot of mirrors to not see what's in there. Finally, I just let it wash over me. I went back to when I was 8 years old, and I was living with my nana. She took me when I was 9 months old, and my mama would prop a bottle up on some pillows and leave me in my crib while she would go party with the people in the next building. My nana just came in and took me without saying a word. She never told me about the stuff my mama did. She just told me I ended up there because I had so much love in me, and that she needed it because hers was all used up. So anyway, it's Valentine's Day. Me and my nana had made cookies for the whole class. They was personalized, and every kid got a cookie with their name on it. My nana was sweet like that. So we just at the part of the day where we about to have our little party and hand out treats. Mr. Neiman, the principal, comes in and he's talking to my teacher. The teacher is looking at me in a way that I've never seen. Mr. Neiman walks me to the office. I could tell that I'm not in trouble by the way he puts his hand on my shoulder, but he doesn't say much. When we get to the office, my mama is in there, and she just breaks down crying. I will never forget her words. Tiffany, somebody done killed Nana. In that moment, I disconnected from the world and have never connected back to it the same. It seems that my Nana was coming out of the store and something that couldn't have been human tried to rob her. She fought back and they killed her for it. Who would kill an old lady in broad daylight? Who would take away the only thing that loved me in this whole world? Afterwards, it was all over the news. They had candlelight vigils and everybody seemed to be involved. They had a reward for the killers and everything. Nobody came forward. Broad daylight, and nobody would step up for a lady who that would step up for anybody. Afterwards, it went off the news. The police went on to the next tragedy. All the people at the vigils went back to their own lives. The band plays on, is what my mama said. My life was hell after that, for a long time. I knew I was angry and hurt. I knew I suffered. My whole family did. But what I didn't know until 3:17 this morning was that person that took my Nana away from me. Not only took her away, I allowed them to take a part of me. The part that connects and feels something all the way through. The part that's not afraid to love because it might get hurt. The part that's willing to put other people's feelings and needs before our own fears. I realized that that person affected every relationship I've ever had in my whole life. Even my relationship with my daughter. I allowed that person to make me turn my back on that little girl that got killed that night. I said I didn't see nothing. That's not true. To turn my back on life and love, that's not my role anymore. What I know about what happened to that little girl may not be able to bring her back, but I'm going to do whatever I can to help her family and anybody else that I may be able to. At 3:17 this morning, I realized the band may play on, but I'm not.
Well, this is my last anger management class. And I know you said you won't sign off on my sheet until I tell you, as you say, the source of my story. I thought a lot about it, and maybe this is it. I remember when I was little, and my mama got really sick, so they sent me to live with my aunt. She already had a lot of other kids there. She was like a foster parent, or something like that. She really only did it for the money, though, because I can tell you, she sure didn't like kids. I mean, she used to do mean stuff, like have you make up your bed 10 times every morning just because the corners wasn't turned down right. Really? Who does that? The corners? Do they even matter? I remember she would lock you out of the house just because you didn't make it back from the store as fast as she thought you should. It didn't matter if it was below 0 outside in the wintertime or 100 degrees in the summer. She would leave you out there for hours, and you bet not try to go nowhere else except for sit in that old broke down car she had sitting in the yard. I remember she had this game. She called it the ring. She would call all the kids together and make everybody get in this one big circle. She would do that on the weekends when she was bored, or if everybody was home from school because of a snow day. So we would all be in this circle, and she would call out 2 kids and make them go to the middle of the ring and fight. Not me. I wouldn't fight. I would just stand there and get beat up by whoever she chose to do that to me. It was so humiliating. I remember I would just try to cover my face. And I would cry. And when I think about it, I didn't just cover my face from the blows. I did it so I wouldn't get hurt. The satisfaction of seeing me cry. That really hurt me. I don't think that lady had 1 ounce of kindness in her. I used to hate snow days. So I remember this one day in particular. I'm at school, and 2 of the foster kids that lived with me was in my same class. They were like me, trying to fit in, even though we knew we didn't. I remember them telling this popular girl at school that I said something about her mama. So the girl comes over to me, and she asks me about it, with the 2 foster kids standing behind her, like they had her back or something. I don't know why, but I felt like I was in that ring. Except for my aunt, she wasn't there to get the satisfaction out of it. So somehow, in that moment, all of that hurt, it just turned to anger. And I attacked that girl. I just started beating her, and I couldn't stop beating her. It was bad, real bad. And my mama got better and I went back to stay with her, that anger, well, that hurt, it never went away. So the other day, I was watching TV, and this minister said that if somebody hurts you and you don't forgive or get over it, you will continue to hurt yourself and others over and over again. Amen. It's like that thing that was done to you stays with you. And you become both the victim and the victimizer, being controlled by something that happened so long ago. I really hope that lady forgives her. I really hope that girl that I attacked that day has forgiven me as well. I pray that every person that I brought my hurt and my anger into their lives have washed me and what I've done away. I'm forgiving my aunt. She can't have that place in me anymore. I'm a lot of things. But the one thing that I don't want to be anymore is a victim.
And I was mad. Have you ever been mad and not really sure why? Now, maybe that sounds crazy to some people, but I feel that way at times. See, now when I get mad, I have to identify the enemy that's in my way. My grandmother used to say that the enemy was the devil, and everything that the people did or didn't do, he led them to it. Now, that might have made sense to her, but to a kid like me, I can only see the enemy that was about to cause me harm. My enemy is my mom's. But when I was a little kid and got bit by a dog, ran home in shock and believing that she would make everything better. And as the pain and tears came out of me, as I reached that porch, what do you think she did? Held me, wiped my tears, took me to the hospital? Nah, she just looked at me through those drunken eyes of hers and told me I ain't had no business being over there in the first place, and what was she supposed to do about it? My brother had to take me to the hospital that day, while she just went back to doing whatever she was doing before I rudely interrupted her life. The same moms who, after me being raised by my grandmother, promised to show me all this love and affection after she got out of jail, well, she got out. And just like that day, nothing changed. I was just like that little kid running to the porch, looking for her to make it better. She just went back to doing whatever she was doing.
Mine is my father, who thinks that parenting is an option, not an obligation. The man who, instead of raising me to be a man, treated me like I was already one. If you got in trouble, he wasn't messing with you. Really? No, wait. I said that wrong. He would beat you and then not mess with you. The man who doesn't know that discipline and relationship aren't the same thing. The man who came to me one day and made a deal with me. He was taking me in. Not really him taking me in. I can go live at my grandmother's house and help him out by helping her. I took the deal. I had nowhere else to go. It was all cool. I learned so much and grew so close to my grandmother. I learned to care for someone in a different way than I had been raised. It was all cool till I was like 30 minutes late coming home on Friday. Till my father, the deal was broke, and I had to get out.
Mine means a school district. A district that undereducated me from the first day that I walked in. A district where I never felt safe. I had more fights than books. A district that, once you got past the metal detectors and security guards, I found no treasures they were trying to protect. I know I was no value to them by the things that the teachers would do and say. I can't tell you how many times I heard teachers say, I got mine, I don't care if you get yours. Like it was in some kind of inner city school handbook or something. A district where I got suspended for having so many different violations like not having a student ID or getting caught in a hall freeze. And lastly, a district that's
finally took away any chance I had of getting my education by expelling me for violating the Safe Schools Act, even though I wasn't in school when it happened.
My enemy is the judge who looked down on me through her glasses, trying to think on how she could pass judgment on me about some papers sitting in front of her. What she didn't know is that those papers couldn't tell my life story. They can maybe tell the story of what I did wrong, but can't tell you who I am. Or maybe she didn't care who I was. But how can you judge me if you don't know me?
Oh, wait. I've done this before. That's how I got here. If my enemy is my mom's and it's her fault, then that just means that I have no control over my own life. And I'm still that little kid running to the porch looking for her to make it all right. Maybe my mom didn't know how to love me right because she didn't know how to love herself right. And maybe if I continue to let her be that enemy, then I'll never be able to love myself enough to give my son that hug he needs when he walks up to the porch.
Maybe my father was being the only kind of parent he knows how to be. Maybe my father didn't have that man to desire a relationship from. If I let my father be my enemy, then what kind of relationships will I be able to have? If I let my father be the enemy, then what kind of man will I be?
If the district is the enemy, then how come I didn't just pick up the books instead of skipping school and hanging out in the hallways with my friends?
And if the judge is my enemy, then how is it her fault that I ended up in the courtroom to be judged in the first place?
Maybe in me, I can choose rather. My life, my decisions. Maybe I can choose to be defined by what I've done in my past, or I can create a better destiny and be defined by who I am and not what I've been through. Maybe the enemy is me.
I wasn't sure. And I thought that she was going, then she got a little hysterical, and she was just really upset, about the sounds and the gunfire and all of this. And I thought to myself, this person, I was like, wow, she never heard gunfire. I was still stuck right there. And then I thought about her response and how upset she was, and I was like, wow, probably wasn't really that close to her. But then it occurred to me, no, her response was right. And the way she responded to it, how upset she was by just hearing gunfire, is the way we should all feel. And the way about any kind of act of violence or any kind of things that harms others around us. But sometimes we get desensitized or disconnected. And okay, I've seen that before. Okay, I heard that. Oh, that's too bad. And we go back to our, whatever it is we were doing. We have a lot of great people in our community. We have a lot of great institutions and things like that in our community. But I think sometimes we may feel like things happen so much to where we don't always stop to connect people to things. And this evening, I wanted to, we as a court and as a family, we wanted to recognize both Darren Brooks' family, who can't be here. They called and something had come up and they're not able to make it. But we'll make sure that they get this recognition. But we also wanted to bring up Corian Robinson's family and his mother and his aunt and his father. And we wanted to recognize them and their son for his perseverance. I was talking to Corian on the phone a little on the way here this evening, and he told me something. I was like, man, you held out on me. He was like, yeah. I said, so how's the rehab? He said, it's going good. I'm doing this and doing that. And he said, I walked. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. So he's actually walking. And that's a blessing after all these years. And we have to attribute that to, of course, something greater than us. And also to a family that I don't know if it was quite conveyed, you were able to get that through the film, was they were not going to let him be 1 minute alone without having that love and that support there to will him back. And that's a phenomenal thing. When you say, your mother says, the day this happened was the last day she went to work. She has not left that hospital room. Every time you come up there, she's there, and the father's there, and the aunt is there. That is a commitment. That is love. And we commend them for that, and we commend Corian. So could you guys please come up? Certificate, we also want to offer you this key ring. And as you can see, these words are not my own. But this key ring, as you can see, there's no key on it. And the key to this ring, that goes on this ring, is whatever it takes and whatever he wants to use and he wants to use to make a difference. Thank you. We appreciate you. I want to implore everybody here, when this is over, to come up to them, to shake their hands. If you have any ideas or any kind of services or anything that we are all connected to, that you could help them or be a benefit to this families, please share that. Please. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming out. So as the evening draws to an end, Ms. Hannah Pierce is going to come up and say some words.
Good evening. We're not going to keep you long. I want to thank everyone so much for being here. We appreciate it. We know there's so much more you could have done with your evening, and we thank you for sharing it with us. I want to offer special thank yous to Kelly Hatch in Unity Village. Where is Kelly? Is Kelly here? Maybe not. But thank you to Kelly Hatch in Unity Village. We thank you for your generosity in providing such wonderful accommodations, which just really fit our needs for this program. I'd also like to thank Richard Lewis of Rich Designs, and we have certificates for Mr. Lewis. Is Mr. Lewis here? Oh, there he is back there with the adorable children. Thank you so much, Mr. Lewis, for your patience and creativity in providing the original artwork for the program, for the flyers and the program. They were truly beautiful. And thank you for your children. I also want to thank the family court volunteers and the staff for their tireless efforts and for their attitudes of servant leadership. We do so much with so little because of our employees and our volunteers, and we thank you. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank our community partners and our stakeholders who share our vision for healthy neighborhoods and a future that provides promise and opportunity for all families and youth. I have to thank the families and youth for their cooperation and for trusting us to be a part of their lives. And finally, last but not least, I would like to thank all of those who have been victimized by crime and impacted by trauma. We pledge our continued support, and we thank you for your resilience, your perseverance, and your courage. You truly inspire us. Thank you, and have a good evening.